Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to Brickyard. I'm Andrea Thompson, and today we are continuing our new series, Intersectional Poetica. This series is allowing us to get in depth with a few different artists through specific showcases over the year. And this month, because of International Global World Mental Health Day on October 10th, we're taking October to focus on mental health. And I was looking for the best possible spoken word artists that I knew who focus on mental health. And my next guest was at the top of the list. So please help me welcome Jamaal Jackson Rogers. Hey, Jamaal.
What's good? What's good? I hope you're healthy. I hope you're well.
I'm doing good. So far, so good. Yeah, we were talking before. I was saying to Jamaal, I'm always a little bit nervous about doing these recordings, but I'm always excited when I get to just talk to the artists. And so I know a bit about you. Let me read your bio so everybody else can get an idea about who you are, what you've been up to. So Jamaal Jackson Rogers is an award-winning poet, arts educator, creative entrepreneur, and performance artist. As a poet, he was selected to be Ottawa's first English Poet Laureate after 27 years, in which the position had gone unfilled. While his career in arts education has earned him a 2016 Ontario Arts Educator Award, he has brought to his practice audiences locally and internationally, and his defining moments are when he makes intimate connections with his participants during workshop exchanges and performance sets. His topics range from emotional maturity to social justice, from parenting to the human condition. His work has been highlighted in festivals, documentaries, and educational institutions across the world. He resides in Ottawa, Canada, with his wife and 6 children, using the National Capital Region as his launch pad to teach, mentor, and advocate for the arts. And right now he's in a super cool yurt, Jamaal.
So far, so swell. You handle that whole introduction like you've been doing this for years, which you have, because you're not. You're definitely one that knows how to talk. You have the gift of eloquence, right? Vocabulary eloquence. So, thank you for that. But yeah, sweet. Good to be here today. Good to be with you. And let's talk. Let's talk poetics and mental health.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm thinking, with this series, with these interviews, I always start with the question, how did you get into spoken word? Because I think about, when I was interested in poetry, and I never thought that I would get up on stage in front of people. And, like, how do you make that journey from somebody who maybe is like a younger poet who's like, oh, I'd like to do what this dude does. Like, what was your journey like? How did you get into the art?
Well, I mean, there's two sides of it. First of all, I'm overwhelmed that I'm speaking to you, so it's an honor just to be in the presence of, because I've always just admired you and the legacy that you have, but always felt like I wasn't in the generation to taste it as some of my peers were. So thank you for giving the time for today's session and talk. But for me, there's two sides of it. There's the outward and the inward. Inwardly, I was looking for community. I was searching for a community of people that would hear my laments, that were willing to listen to my lamentations, the ways that I would express my lamentations. And so not finding that in the various different communities that I identified with, I decided to try my hand at the artistic community, which was, a very liberating experience, but at the time was much more liberal than I had understood it. And so I came in with preconceived notions of what an artistic community is like. But the spoken word community, however, is where I really found kind of my groove, because at the end of the day, as they said, the poetry, the points, it's not the points that's the poetry, it's the poetry is the point, right? And so, or it's not the points that matter, but so that was the inward. But outwardly, I was writing poetry since a child and just didn't have the right atmosphere, the right environment presented to me to share. And I always found that my style of writing and listening to poetry, I was very much attuned to the rhythmic style of poetry that matched, hip hop culture and lyricists. I just found that rhythm and patterning was very strong within me from music that I grew up listening to. So when I wrote poetry, the rhythmic patterns and repetitions often mirrored that. And when I found spoken word, I was like, this is life to me, because life is rhythmic, life has movement, life has ebb and flow, life is intentional in this very patternistic, but yet almost you can't anticipate it, which is the spectacle of performance art, right? You can't call it really. You're hoping to be given something that will make you feel anew. So when I found that I could merge community and expression through these lamentations, I was. This was about. It was 2010. I was hooked. I was hooked. It was a way for me to really find my voice, because I think that's why I longed for community. I needed a place where my voice can be heard.
Sweet. Thank you. You kept using this word, the word lamentations, and I love that. I mean, it's a beautiful word. It's kind of an antiquated word, but it makes it's that makes it rich and brings all of these, all of these thoughts about sorrow into the mind, and the processing of sorrow and grief. And as I said, you're one of the people that I thought about in terms of mental health, because I know you've been doing so much social justice work and activism. And for you, where did your advocacy work with mental health start? How did that, was that like an outpouring of your own experiences of processing your feelings as a young man, or
That's a great question. That is, that question asks me to look at some things that I didn't think I would have to look at, but I like it because this is what I was hoping for. When it comes to my first intersection with mental health, it was with my sister. I was supporting her with her children, and she has one of her children had mental health issues, and I was young at the time. I wasn't new to being amongst individuals with mental health issues. My family, fortunately, has many individuals with mental health, living with mental health issues. But with my sister is when I decided that I think there's something that I need to explore, because I was living with her at the time and spending a lot of time with her son, who is my nephew, spending a lot of time with him and helping out in the home with him. It gave me this passion that I wanted to find a way to connect with people who often are just pushed to the side. And because of the work that I was doing and the studies that I was taking in post-secondary, it just pushed me further to say that I wanted to be an advocate. I wanted to be someone who, if my life was ever spoken about, there's a segment of my life where I dedicated it to understanding how to commit to community when it comes to individuals with mental health, commit to those communities. So it was a while back, but this was when I was in my early 20s.
I love that. I love that, how those themes keep coming up again, or that idea of community. A lot of artists that I talk to talk about this idea of community, and it's funny. It's kind of ironic, because we think of, like, writing is such a solitary thing, and then performing is like you and a mass of people, but the community seems to be a really powerful part of it. And I love the the way that you're looking at your life, and kind of like the mission and the legacy that you leave behind, in terms of how you can contribute to the wellness of different communities. And I wanted to ask you, I'm really interested about, I know you do work with people in correctional facilities, and looking through your bio, there were different things that struck me. There's like this these moments of, you talk about like these moments of intimacy with your audience, and intimacy in work. I don't know if you use that word, but that's what I'm interpreting it. Meaningful moments in workshops, and something you talked about too is like helping people find their voice. And I'm curious about when you're working with people who might feel marginalized or disenfranchised, what kind of process or what kind of messages do you use to help people find what can like turn that into a creative output?
Well, that for me has taken on many forms. It's evolved over time. The strategy that I use. Oftentimes, I used to envelop it in the idea that you want people, hopefully, to find something of their authenticness within what they are experiencing in these moments of exchanges. And I use the word intimacy because it is an intimate. I always walk away feeling, the hair you've done. We know the workshop world. The hairs are standing up on our arms. The exchanges that are happening, people are sharing these their lives, right? And so this is what I've realized: when we come together, we're sharing the book of our lives. When we come together in community, we're expressing that through word, through action, through non-action, through what we don't say. And so when I'm working with a group of individuals, I've come to understand that what's really important for these individuals that are marginalized is that their book, a lot of it is being written by, other forces. The amount of agency that they have to either write or to express their book. I wouldn't even say, because they still have the agency to write it, but the knowledge of knowing that they have the agency to write it and to express it is what they may not see. And so I want to, my goal is to peel those veils away so that they can understand that they have agency to be the author of their own story, right? And you have agency to speak it, because what is speaking? It's manifestation of what is. And so I want you to speak, be your truth. What you write and tell me now, I want to know it because it's your book. And I work with, oftentimes in the juvenile correctional facilities, it's with youth.
Yeah.
And it's with youth that are, majority young men of color, and and their lives are tremendously complicated and difficult. So imagine all the smears. Imagine what lens a young person is looking through when there's so many smears. And then on top of that, there is a colonizing voice over their story. And so it's difficult. It's tricky because there's correctional workers there telling them they can't write certain things and say certain things. But I'm like, how are you going to know the person if they can't tell you what their day-to-day experiences are? But through my story, there's some similarities, and sometimes there's some, they can see themselves through what I've been through, and sometimes they're able to express themselves fully. So that's how my strategy is. Like, your life is your book, and whether you allow someone to write it or you write it, it's going to be written.
Oh, I love that.
At least
Sorry.
try to pick up the pen and be the author.
I love that. That is a bumper sticker. That's awesome. I love that. Um, yeah. I was thinking too about youth, like just the youth today and where they're at. There's these statistics about, youth suicide rates and mental health. I'm saying that we're now in a mental health pandemic. It's like the first pandemic may have waned, but the second one is in full swing. And I'm curious, like, what are you seeing out there in the work that you do with young people?
Well, it's obvious to enough people, I think, that we're dealing the youth a very terrible hand, and that's because the inclusion of youth is has become a catchphrase, corporatized thing now, entity in and of itself, and really, we're not including the youth in the ways that the youth are saying they want to be included. And I know this, and it's nobody's direct fault. Societies have so much systems that work together to make things work, and run. But one thing I've noticed is that, like, I've had a lot of connections with youth over the time. So youth tend to stay in touch with me, and they see me, and when they see me, they'll message me, say, "Hey, I want to pick your brain about something or ask you, and maybe get advice from you." And I found in the last year, the youth that reach out to me, they don't get back to me. It's like that quick, their hopes are dashed. Whereas years before, when youth would reach out to me, the conversation's going flow. I'm giving them the mentorship they provided, they're asking for. But now they'll reach out to me. I'll tell them, "Hey, it's been a while. Here's my information, contact me. I'd love to be able to give you advice in your career or what you're working on." And they don't reach out. And even though, there's definitely levels of trust there, they know me and so on. I know their families. At this point, many of these youth, they know me and I know their families. And so that's a sign to me that tells me something is stopping them from the advancement that they want. Because in the messages, they're telling me they want a life of art and creativity. They want to be able to live a life liberated and free, but something's scaring them. And of course, what's scaring them, forget about the future. The present is scary now for youth. The present is a scary, scary place. I recently was thinking about how hopelessness plays this, like, very harsh, like, trick on, especially on youth, because when you're living in a culture of hopelessness, you start to attain a lost sense of identity, acquire a lost sense of identity. Right? How do you really hold on to your identity when a lot of what our identity is hope in what we can transform into and become and acquire for ourselves? But when you're in a hopeless state of living because the mechanics of society, then what are youth really holding on to? And so I see a lot of sadness. I'm a person who feels. Someone doesn't need to tell me what they're feeling to see it in their eyes. When youth aren't showing up for themselves in ways that they used to, there's something wrong, and it's time for us to listen. So, and not to take a backseat, but to actually incorporate youth in building. Not saying you're the future, because that means, well, then I'm important later.
Yeah.
So important later then, okay? So everything that's going on right now, me and who I am, not important.
Yeah. So here we are, talking about this tool. So I'd like to kind of like break it down and use this opportunity to really get pragmatic. Like, how do you how do you write? How do you get this out of you? How do you use this tool of writing and speaking to write your own book, to self-empower yourself, to create, like it's kind of start your own engine, create your own hope. How can we use this tool of spoken word towards that end?
Wow. Well, for me, I used to my approach is to wait until it all boils up and find a way to let it out, right? That's my approach. It works for me because I like to contemplate a lot before I commit to writing, because writing for me is my profession. And as much as I can explore and stuff, I also have many other professions. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a brother and a son and a community member. And so I don't want my writing to overwhelm me in all the other things that I want to balance, right? Talking about mental health. So for me, my approach is wait, I'll contemplate, take notes about what I'm going through. I'll journal what I'm going through and what I'm feeling and experiencing. But then when it's time, when this thing has occupied enough space in my feeling energy, my feeling dimension, I'll commit to writing something, in most cases poetic, about that experience. So I find that strategy, it's a very paced, and it allows the information or what you're seeking to come to you for me at least, it's a paced way to allow the writing to come. But if we're in a workshop or in an environment where writing is one of the conclusions within the time we're sharing, I'll often say, okay, let's we'll do prompt work. But I think that the best strategy is to journal as much as you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Journal.
Yeah.
And, with mobile devices, they're journaling more than they should about us at this point. But journal your thoughts, your feelings. And the second advice is to, if you're going to get into journaling and you're finding, I don't have nothing to say, or I don't know what to write, or, writing is not my natural, voice record things, but
Yeah.
listen, and then voice recorder, you somehow find a way to compile that, to anecdote it, but listening to the voice, your voice, it's really powerful, because we're thinking, and that thought is your voice. So listen to it as it's you speaking to you, and then go back and write it down, journal it, and then from there you're gonna find things that you'll either like or not like, but hopefully it'll continue you down the path of writing.
That's awesome. Thank you. So I would love to hear a little sample of you doing your thing. And I gotta do my switch from speaker view. I had an interview with Patrick, and I don't know what happened, but so I'm gonna switch over to speaker view, put myself on mute, and yeah, I'll let you take the stage. You ready, Jamaal? You ready to go?
I am. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
Okay, here we go.
All right. So this poem, it's a poem that I wrote to my mother. She lived my entire life with mental health challenges, and from observing her life and seeing the similar patterns in different, I guess, planes she had to navigate at times in her life, I decided that I needed to accept the fact that mental health, whether it's a challenge or it's a benefit, an advantage, it's something that needs to be embraced for all its nuances and beautiful expressions. And so this poem is called Motherland, and it's dedicated to my late mother, Jamaal Jackson Rogers. It goes like this. There's something to be said about the beauty of sky meets sea. Like two giant hands kissing a peanut butter and jam sandwich together, and in these moments of eye-squinting joy, you can hear most dolphins chatter. Spatter the remnants of love left behind. Rolled from their tongues like rubber band balls cast into the ocean, hidden in fissures of time, waiting to be unraveled like messages in a bottle. But if time mattered, really had any significance in these moments of her bubble wrap ramblings, her mind will be focused on how many times she saw a school of fish smile, how long until she hears her next orchestral song, how many heartbeats until the seashore and the skyline and her eyes that behold unmatched beauty meet again. But my ascetic mother, nature has shown me that in our elusive world, beauty does not exist without destruction. That's why I am mystified at how you defy all gravitational pulls towards rationality. Because with each public display of indecency, you spark creativity and stomp controversy that would make any lost boy turn ripe with envy. Forcing Peter Pan to abandon Never Never Land and join your imaginary band of comrades, the ones labeled disabled, the ones identified as mentally unstable, the ones whose lives are retold as fables at extended family dinner tables, and I can't seem to shake it. Because in my community, the parking lot for the rumor mill is never vacant, and these visitations where I see you swimming in the deep end of your insanity don't make it any easier to cope with your theatrics. I don't understand it. How science has chosen you to represent the one unsolved wonders of the world, because at first I blamed the creator. And then I blamed the universe. And then I blamed the research. And then I blamed whatever. And from all these years staring at you with my boyish view, I thought I would surely see the day you would drown from your misery. But you have taught me that we are all propelled from a drop of water, and our repellent spirits are made to stand in puddles of rain. I remember when I was younger, standing under the shower, letting the water fall on my tears so that at least something would hug them, or running the tap, while crying profusely to mask the sobs that now mark the stress in my face, or standing over the toilet, flushing every few seconds, feeling a connection between the water being washed away and the cyclones of emotions I suppressed every day because my traumatized addict father could not understand why his son would weep to be with his paranoid schizophrenic mother. I remember sinking to the bottom of summer swimming pools, holding my breath, convincing myself that I could cheat death so that I never have to return to the land of walking, breathing, never again. These memories, wet with description, all pointed me to the direction you have built from decades of meditation, of medication. Like you were always telling me the day would come when I would have to voyage out here to find your mind, and I did find it. But too late it seems, because now doctors are telling me that cancer is tearing at the seams of your bones, ripping apart our mother-son connection, so I rock you to sleep gently, cradling your head in my arms the way I always dreamt you did for me when I was a baby, while we wish upon shooting stars that would drop a line attached to a magic lamp that would grant an anchor to your cellular anarchy, and the choices offered to me by these geniuses are slow death, radiation, and chemotherapy. There's something to be said about the beauty of sky meets sea. And though I could go on to blame many more things, today I thank destiny, because her life force flows through me abundantly like Earth's most renewable energy through her distant existence. She has taught me to see the beauty in the crazy, and oh, mommy, if this was my final moment of poetry, I just wish you could see. That's it.
Wow, that's beautiful. Wow. Wow, what a tribute. What a tribute. That's gorgeous and so honest and such a gift to everybody who's, you know, I mean, we talk about having our own mental health issues, but you know, then there's the experience of being supporting somebody, being the son, being the daughter, being the parent of somebody, you know. It's yeah. Yeah, that was beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we've come to the end of our time together, but I'm glad that we had that little taste test there of some of your poetry, because we have here on Brickyard, we're going to have a whole set of your work and give you some time to fill it with your beautiful words. And you can really hear too in your style, like all that musicality and the hip hop phrasing and yeah, really, really great word work. So I can't wait to hear some more. So please come back and you'll be able to hear some more of Jamaal's work. And if you want to follow Jamaal, find out more about what he's up to, we're going to put his website in the description box below. And we're going to be continuing on this month with more mental health related content. This is all part of our Intersectional Poetica program. And we're going to have lots more artists. We're going to have, lots more artists focused. And we have also a mental health playlist that we'll be adding this work to. So if you want to, if you want to, we've actually got the playlist started now because we realized just in what we've been doing so far with Brickyard, mental health kept coming up. So it's like, let's put a playlist together. So so that kind of sparked the idea of let's focus on this, let's feature this. So I'm going to ask everybody to, go over to the subscribe bell or button or whatever it is. I don't know where it is. And subscribe and like and share. Send this. I know you heard something today that made you think, oh, I wish so-and-so could hear this. Send this video to them. And please subscribe, because what we're trying to build here is not just an archive of amazing Canadian spoken word artists, but a virtual spoken word publishing medium that will and with these videos going viral and some of the profits being shared with the artists. That's what we're hoping for. So your subscription leads us towards that path. So please, don't take it as just a thing that people say. It's a for reals ask, for reals. Yeah. So again, Jamaal, any last words? It's been great, great, great to chat with you.
I just, I'm thankful. I'm thankful. So I wanted to say shout out to Brickyard, shout out to all the lovers loving still. So keep your crown wrapped tight and bless up. Have a great day.
And write your own book.
Yes, write your book.
Write your own book. Yeah, that's the bumper sticker.
You're meant to. You're meant to.
Yeah. That was great. Okay, thanks so much, Jamaal. Take care.
Thank you.